Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm playing in my small Art by Marlene journal. This is called the Handy Size Journal, and I'm going to do a double page spread today using the cut and paste collage book. So first I'm going to join two pages together. I'm just going to do a strip of masking tape in the middle of those two pages on the back, and that's going to secure them. Did trim off the excess there and making sure that they're all sitting nice and flush against each other. Okay, I've grabbed out this page with all of the roses, and then I've fussy cut the roses out and I'm going to use them. But first I'm looking at the colors in the background. I really like how those colors play together. So I've got lavender, ballet, happy, and breeze, and I'm just going to plonk them down anywhere on the page. I'm not really fussed about where they go as long as they go. I am using my rule of threes, so I'm putting each color down 3 times or in 3 different spots. For the most part, I realized that the pink one is more just of a 2-spot scenario. But generally I work with the rule of threes. I really like the way these colors work together. I think they're such a pretty combination. I did put the mermaid with them when I had them in my hand to see if I wanted to use it, but I decided against it. I think the mermaid would look lovely with this combination anyway, but I decided to not do mermaid today. I'm giving everything a quick dry. I did water my paint down slightly just to get them to flow a little bit easier on the page and also to give them the nice flowy look. So I got this stencil out from Marlene, and I'm just making sure that my baby wipe is not too wet by squeezing it in between a little rag that I've got there. And I'm just going to do my usual ghosting technique. I did try to do color on color, so I put that breeze over the top of the breeze, but it showed up, but not quite enough. So I decided to rather go over the top of the other colors. And I'm just doing that with all of the colors that I've got in my palette there. I did the yellow as well. And I really like how this stencil leaves that pattern behind. I think it's a really pretty pattern and quite versatile. So if you could get your hands on it, I think this is a good one, because it's also really nice to use it just as a normal stencil where you stencil through with your sponge. Now I'm going in just using the remainder of the paint on my palette, and I'm making some marks and doing that with all of the colors. So at this stage it just looks like a real happy mess, and I love it. And then I just had a little bit of pink left, which I've watered down, and I've just done some splatters, and then I'm going to dry all of the things. I did take a couple of photos of that background because I really loved it. I think I might print it out at some stage and use it as collage or something of the sort. And I'm just going to see where I'm going to put my little roses down. I also received a couple of new dies from Marlene, and I did like a batch cut session. So I grabbed some of those elements out, and I thought that I would pop them in between. And I'm so happy that I did. I think it just added everything that this page needed to bring it all together. I really like the way that it turned out. So I'm only using the black elements at the moment. I thought that the black worked well enough. I didn't add any of the white or the gold ones that I've got. I thought the black was perfect. And now I'm just going to glue all of these bits down. I'm only gluing in the center of my flowers because I know that I'm going to putting things underneath, and the leaves that I've trimmed off and the die cuts I would like to just slide in underneath those flowers. So I did only glued the middle, and then later on I will go back in and just glue the sides down as well. I cut my dies in half to make sure that they fit. And it was just a really fun page to make. I really liked to see how it all came together in the end. I'm not a rose person, so when I first looked at the pages with the roses, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do with these roses, because I'm just really not, I don't grow roses in my garden. My husband doesn't bring me roses. When he brings me flowers, it's always some kind of pretty wildflower thing that he brings here, and I love it, because I'm not into roses. I mean, I don't mind them, they're pretty and everything, it's just that I'm not a rose person. But I really like the way this page turned out. I think the roses worked really well. I've done this page with other kind of flowers as well, and it always works well to do like a water, I don't know, it reminds me of like a waterfall flower page, or just having something at the top or on the side, and then having the pretty background sticking out. So just a little bit of faffing about to get everything stuck down. And Marlene's glue is perfect for this. It dries quickly, but it still gives you enough time to move things around if you need to. It dries clear, so if there's some spillage, it doesn't matter, because you can just wipe it off, and then whatever remains will dry clear. And you'll see where I trim off the leaves, I'm just sticking them back in somewhere else. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow. So I'm going in with Punk, which is Marlene's neon purple paint. And again, I'm watering it down with just a little bit of water on my brush. And I'm just going into where I think the shadows would be if this was a real picture, and blending that watery color out. I'm also using my fingers to blend it, and you'll see how this it's such a tiny step, but it actually makes a huge difference. So oftentimes I find the little bit of faffing that I do when I could have easily called the page done really makes a difference. So if you ever feel like you need to add a shadow or a white highlight or something, but then you feel like maybe it's just faffing and fluffing about a bit too much, just do it. You'll be surprised at what a difference it really does make to your pages. So now I'm grabbing out some of Marlene's pens, her paint pens, and I'm just going to darken up some of the bits on those flowers. So the great thing about these flowers is that Marlene has already done the hard work for us. She's already decided where the shadowy bits are going to be and where the highlights are going to be. And you could just as well leave the flowers as they are. It really doesn't need anything else, but I really wanted to brighten them up a bit more. And because those shadows and highlights are already there, it means that I don't have to think about it. I just go along with what is already there. And I think that's a real handy dandy. Thanks, Marlene, for helping us out there. And yeah, just going in with all the colors that I could already see in the flowers, and I'm just boosting those colors. And you can see just what a difference it makes to the little flowers. It just boosts the colors and make them look a little bit more vibrant. Doing the same with the leaves, with the light green and the darker green pens. And then I decided that I needed to add some white space. So first off, I'm going into the flowers. I'm just crisping up the white bits that are there. And I think this is when I also decided to color in some of the die cuts with white. So I love having black and white stripes or dots on my pages. I think it makes such a difference. And to me, when I colored in the little die cuts with white, it brought kind of that black and white stripy element to my pages. But first, I'm making really scribbly lines with black on my roses. So I'm not going around the whole entire rose or the whole entire leaf. Just going here and there, just a tad, just so there's an idea of an outline. And then I'm going back in with my Stabilo All pencil and I'm darkening up those shadows. So where I already did the purple shadows, I'm going in with my black and I'm also doing black shadows. And it just adds like layers of shadowing that's really effective and pretty. It really does make a difference. It does help to make those flowers stand up off the background. And even where I go in between the flowers, where the flowers are on top of each other, it just adds dimension to the overall composition. And I really like the way that that looked. Okay, this is where I decided I would do the white inside the leaves. And I loved it so much that I then continued going in and doing it in the flowers. So not the whole flower, just some bits here and there where it kind of looks like the flower has stripes on it. And it really did make such a difference to the page. I actually quite liked it a lot. I decided that the flowers needed a little bit more darkness in that shadowy area. So I've got the Lots of Dots stencil and Marlene's black paint, which is called Pitch. And I'm just doing a couple of strips of this Lots of Dots stencil and bringing that shadow down. And I thought that that looked really nice, giving it a little dry again. And this is where I decide to do some of the bits inside the flowers as well. And I'm glad that I did that. You can see how it just brings the page alive to bring that black and white elements into the page. So often when I use bright colors, which is always, I would probably always add, not often, I would always add black and white into my page just to make the colors pop a little bit more. It brings some contrast. It just finishes it off for me. I'm going in with Marlene's lace paint, which is the white, and I'm just doing some dots straight from the tube. And I really like that. So the dots do take a little bit of time to dry because obviously it's a lump of paint. It's not a spread out brush stroke of paint. So I just dried it enough so I could get my quote. And because I had quite a bit of space there, I chose Laugh, it makes you happier. I don't know what else it says. Pray, it makes you stronger. And Give, it makes you richer, I think it says. Yeah, Give, it makes you richer. So I'm just playing with the placement, and then I'll do a little bit of a Stabilo All line around them as well, and water activating that. To remove the masking tape from the back, I do like to heat it to make sure that it doesn't tear, but it tore anyway, but normally it doesn't. And then I'm just going to cut through the page with my craft knife to get through the flowers that I've stuck over the join of the page. Sorry, I couldn't find my words there. All right, I'm punching the holes back in where I covered them up, And that's it for the page. Thank you so much for being here. Please like and subscribe if you have not done so yet, and I will chat to you again soon. Bye.